or watching us online or listening on WNZF, which is carrying this live. I know these ongoing threats to our schools are weighing heavily on our community, our parents, students, teachers, and staff. So it is important that we keep the community informed and updated on developments as they occur in our investigation. Today at approximately 10:47 a.m., an unidentified subject described as sounding like a young male's voice made a call directly to Buddy Taylor Middle School that was answered by a front desk attendant. The caller ID when it came in was labeled anonymous. The caller stated, and I quote, "The school will be blowing up at 11. The time was now 10:48, requiring immediate action. School staff immediately initiated a school lockdown as they have been trained and notified the sheriff's office. 19 sheriff's deputies and investigators from the sheriff's office Homeland Security section and criminal intelligence unit responded, along with our real-time crime analysts being activated in this building. Also responding to stage was Flagler County and Palm Coast fire departments. The analysts immediately began investigating and working with our detectives while patrol deputies and the SRDs searched the school. Through investigative means, it was discovered that the phone call was made by Jorian Smith, a 14-year-old kid. And this is Jorian, 14 years old, did this. With the assistance of the Daytona Beach Police Department, Violent Crime Apprehension Team, the Volusia County Sheriff's Office Crime Suppression Team, and FDLE, Jorian Smith, AKA known as Jay, was located walking in the area of 875 Derbyshire Road in Daytona Beach, holding the phone that he used to make the phone call. During his post-Miranda interview with our Criminal Intelligence Unit Detective Omar, Smith stated a friend who goes to Buddy Taylor Middle School, and Smith does not go there, dared him to call in a bomb threat to his school. Smith stated he did it because of the dare and didn't want to be a punk not to do it. And those are quotes. So I have a message to the young man that dared Jorian Smith: turn yourself in. Go to your parents, tell them what you did, and turn yourself in, because we will find you next. Because our investigation is still continuing. At the conclusion of Detective Obar's interview, members of Daytona Police Department's Violent Crime Apprehension Unit placed Smith under arrest because the actual phone call and the interview and where he was caught occurred in their jurisdiction, and he was taken to the Volusia County Juvenile Assessment Center process. Smith was arrested for one count of false report concerning a bomb, one count of tampering with physical evidence, and that's because he tried to delete items off of his phone to hide his criminal activity, and unlawful use of a two-way communication device. All of these charges are third-degree felonies. If he was an adult, or if he gets tried as an adult, if our state attorney decides to do that, that means up to 5 years in state prison on each count. We believe the incident today was a copycat threat. We continue to use all our resources available at our disposal and continue to work with our state and federal partners to continue the investigation on the other calls. Parents, I ask you once again to be the sheriff in your home. Be the sheriff to your kids. Talk to your kids about the seriousness of making threats. We take every threat seriously, and when we come knocking on your door, your kid is going to jail. So talk to them first and knock it off. Be the sheriff in your home, so I don't have to be the sheriff of your kid. We don't like making these arrests, but we're not going to tolerate these threats to our schools. And because you are a dare, it takes a bigger person to walk away from that dare than to do it. To our team, I know this has been a taxing week for our entire team, not only the school district, but for our entire team. And I want to thank our team for their professionalism, their dedication, and determination that this entire team that served this community has shown. To our Homeland Security team, a special thank you. To Detective Obar, who came in on his day off to continue this investigation and saw this investigation to a successful conclusion, I thank you. And to the community, I believe thanks you also. So thank you for your dedication and commitment. Now I'd like to introduce our Superintendent, LaShawka Moore, if she would like to add it.
I want to say thank you, Sheriff, as well as to Detective Obar. Thank you so much for all of your hard work today. It has been a rough week, and our kids don't deserve this. And so I too just really appeal to the person who dared, as well as who the original person was to cut it off. Our kids don't deserve it, and we're not going to tolerate it. We treat all of these threats seriously, and we know that with that comes a lot of stress and anxiety. But we want to say thank you to our faculty, our staff, and to our students for all that they have done this week. And thank you, of course, to our Flagler County Sheriff's Office. Thank you.
Thank you. And the last thing that I would say as we continue this investigation, that the callers might have technology that they're using, but we got technology too. And they need to remember that, because we are going to get you. And we're going to put the resources in there that we need to find you, hunt you down, and arrest you, and put you where you belong. So with that, we'll open it up for any questions.
So how did you determine that this was a copycat?
Based on the investigation and I guess what I would say, Pierre, is that the MO, the modus operandi, was different on this call. And I'm not going to go into those specific details because we still have active investigation on the other calls.
Well, yesterday, was it yesterday that we were here? You mentioned that the parents would be liable if the caller in a situation like this was a child.
Correct.
Is this the case?
We're going to do everything we can to get the courts to, as part of the penalty, assuming that he pleads guilty or is convicted, depending on how the state attorney does this, we will ask for the full cost reimbursement. I don't have what that is today, but it's a lot. When you add up the fire departments, you add up almost my entire team that was working on this case and the other agencies involved, it's not a cheap investigation.
Was the student ever here in Flagler attending schools? Do you know?
Not that we know, no. But he has a friend that attends.
So how do you go about at Buddy Taylor investigating who the other caller might, who the other perpetrator or who the other person might be?
So we have some information that we have not released tonight that will be used to continue that investigation. But if that person, you know who you are, we're pretty sure we know who you are, I would suggest you turn yourself in. We'll do it the hard way. I'm okay with that. And so are my detectives. But we have other information that we have not released.
What would be the charge?
conspiracy to basically commit these same crimes, which are also felonies.
Has the board been released?
No, he's probably still being processed at the Volusia Juvenile Assessment Center because the arrest happened less than 2 hours ago.
And his phone did actually trace to the call to Buddy Taylor?
We can't give away our technology. So let me just say, we believe we have the correct phone in evidence, and we have to do a digital forensic autopsy on that technology yet, where I think we'll even find more evidence.
I have one last question to both of you actually. And, based on your experience, which goes back to the 70s now, and with our grim history of school shootings, has there ever been a case where a shooter has actually advertised the fact that he or she was about to blow up or shoot a school and made good on it?
Yes, in fact, that's actually the MO of most of these school shooters, that when they go back and do an autopsy on their social media comments and platforms, and sometimes they leave a manifest, that we generally across the country find that they left indicators. They even told people, but people thought they were joking and they didn't report it, which is exactly why we want you, if you see something, hear something, we want you to say something. We would much rather investigate it and find it is nothing than come knocking on your door and you tell us, you know, last week or yesterday, so-and-so said this and I didn't think anything about it. Imagine how bad, because that happened in Parkland, quite frankly. It happened in Columbine. It happened in most of these shooting cases. The only exception that I'm aware of to not leaving a trail of comments was a Las Vegas country music concert shooting. To my knowledge, no indicators were left behind.
I have a question for LaShawna Moore. I've heard from some parents that they kept their kids home from school, and I'm just curious if you know if there was, I mean, it's the end of the school year, so maybe absenteeism is less of a concern now than it might have been before, but do you know if there was, like, what kind of absenteeism there has been this week, and what do you expect for next week?
Absolutely. There definitely has been a higher absentee rate at Buddy Taylor Middle School specifically, large checkout rate at Buddy Taylor Middle School specifically. It is the end of the year, but it's the end of the year, but it's not the last day. So there are still lots of things that are happening on our campuses. We have end of course exams that are still happening, as well as our end of year promotions and graduation and all of those other things. So I stated that on yesterday, that it's a parent's right. A parent has to make the decision for themselves if they're going to send their student to school. I say continue to send them to school. We're going to do everything in our power to ensure that our students, our faculty, and our staff are safe.
You know, what can you think of, or is there anything that can be done to disrupt the school day as little as possible while something like that is going on? Is there anything, or is this just we're sort of held hostage by any kind of threat?
We respond to threats, each threat seriously, and so I'm not going to say we're held hostage. We're going to respond appropriately to every threat that comes into our schools, but we're going to continue to make our school days as normal as possible for our students. So I'm not going to say we're being held hostage. We're going to treat threats seriously, but outside of that, we're going to do our best to have normal days for our students.
So you had calls consecutively this week. Did you receive a call from the original caller at all today, or any communication from them?
That's still part of an active investigation. So, today I can I can talk about this one particular case where we made the arrest, but I don't want to give up any potential leads that we have, because obviously we want the other caller or callers also. So I wish I could give you a more definitive answer on that, but I don't want to compromise the investigator's ability to make more arrests.
Can you say if this is the only caller that gives you a bomb threat?
No. In other words, this is not the only caller that has done that.
The investigation was carried out here. Daytona Beach only arrested the boy, right?
So the investigation was carried out here by our detectives with assistance from the Florida Department of Law Enforcement. That during that investigative process, we identified the suspect, and we were able to determine where he was. And so then we contacted the Volusia County Sheriff's Office, Daytona Beach Police Department, which we have great relationships with, and requested their assistance. During the investigation, after the suspect was apprehended, we determined that based on his statements and some other evidence, that the call was actually made from inside the city limits of Daytona Beach. Now, under the law, we could have charged them in Flagler County. It doesn't matter where you make that phone call. But in this case, since he was in Volusia, specifically in Daytona Beach, it's an easier process to handle the arrest and the booking in Volusia County instead of our Flagler County charges, which means he has to go to the Volusia Juvenile Assessment Center, get processed there, ultimately to Flagler County Jail to get processed, to be taken back to Department of Juvenile Justice. So it was more efficient to let Daytona make the arrest. We're in the same circuit, which helps for prosecution, the 7th Circuit.
Do you have any indications that he had mental health issues?
Nothing that my detectives had indicated to me that this was a dare, basically. It was kids being stupid, daring each other, and another one taking action as a result. That's why, parents, you need to be the sheriff in your home. You need to talk to your kids, because we take it seriously. And hopefully you're going to have to pay the cost of all this, at least for today's investigation. Might not be able to pin you on the others yet, but for today's, I think we have a pretty solid case. Okay, anything else? All right, again, thank you for coming. I know it's way after hours for everyone, but I think it's important to get the information out to our community so they can not only know how seriously we take it and how we're investigating these cases, but hopefully it will add some calmness to the community. Because like the superintendent said, this is an exciting time for our kids. Middle school kids are graduating. They're going to go to a high school starting next year. And none of us want to see a memory of a lifetime. You only do it one time. Graduate from a middle school and go to a high school, or high school and graduation. I personally wouldn't want kids to lose that opportunity and that memory of graduation. So, all right. Thank you, everybody.